connected you to someone who you were able to express new things about yourself?
Um, yeah, like yeah, definitely like uh now, well, how can I say this? Yeah, like I mean, sometimes it's hard for me to express the feeling or the thing I want in Mandarin,
Right.
like vice
Very
versa,
particular. Yeah.
yeah, you
Like
know,
someone.
totally,
Yeah. I
yes, it's totally in the opposite way, sometimes it's fluent in English,
yeah.
yeah, mm, I mean,
No pressure to answer. No pressure to answer.
yeah, it doesn't really like, yeah, this is like something. It feels like the answer of answering uh, I remember for like the biography, I was like asked from the other class. My friend
Yeah.
was also there, and then he asked he has a question like, oh, which language do I prefer? This is like something really like in gray area, like we should pretty blur. So
Yes.
I wouldn't prefer like which language, uh, but as long as I'm fluent in either one. It gives us like um, um, more like broader population to speak with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Certainly. I understand that. Okay, I'm gonna put you back on our questions and help you out.
Yeah.
I keep asking you random questions. I'm sorry. Okay. This one you kind of answered about this one, but if you have anything else, what do you feel you might have learned about yourself in English class?
What
And
did I
that could
learn?
be maybe you could have learned about your style of learning because I think for lots of times a foreign language is the first time where you're seeing yourself outside of what you know you can do, you know. So sometimes in being in that foreign language environment is your first time where you're noticing I'm not really comfortable, stepping outside, I'm not really comfortable raising my hand, things like this. So or you might realize I actually am really okay with making mistakes, I'm really okay with trying to pronounce things incorrectly. So this can be something that's like a hard skill that you learned, or maybe just something about yourself.
Um, like while you mentioned like express myself, like I think it's probably like due to the reason like the country I grew up with, I grew up in. So like you probably like kind of had a feeling when you come to like Taiwan, like when you feel like um when you see the kid will be like quiet in the class
Yes.
and
Mhm.
then not raising their hand because we have to learn like stay quiet, like compared to like a United States, you see kids raising their hand all the time to express their own ideas and stuff. That's what you won't see in Taiwan. I
Right.
mean, that's one thing when I come to state, I see like people raising their hand in the class, and I mean, I really don't have a questions, but I feel like when I raise my hand to ask question, I feel like I'm being more involved in the class to kind of motivate myself to participate, to focus, to engage, like that. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Uh,
think it's definitely a feature of English. It makes you feel, when you hear people speak, it makes you feel like you should engage. That was
yeah.
something I felt differently. Like when I was learning Mandarin, I didn't feel the need to have a lot of like small talk with people or just like
Yeah.
jump in a conversation. It was very much so if someone's talking to me, I'll talk. If not, it's okay. But I
Yeah.
think in English, there's this expectation to offer something to the
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then yeah, and then you say like English class, compared to like Taiwan English class and then like the state English class. I mean, that's for me. I'm kind of shy to speak up because the people surrounding me is like all like local speaker and stuff. Yeah. And then especially like I'm kind of person like afraid to make mistakes, something like that on grammar error or something like that. So that kind of put me down and other stuff.
Now, being afraid to make mistakes, it's good you asked this question. This leads me into my questions about creativity and how the English classroom works.
Uh,
When you think about being afraid to make mistakes and things like this, do you think that's honestly something that Wei Lun feels, or maybe it was how you were taught?
mm, oh, this is gonna be like related to something else, like
It's
off the
okay.
top.
It's
Uh,
okay.
but uh, because I've been like, so I've been like, like kind of like a troublemaker kid, and like in the elementary, and then especially like first grade and second grade, because
Okay.
that teacher like doesn't really like me, and then yeah, so the only thing I learned is to be quiet until I met like some like other teachers, you
Mhm.
know, really like want me to participate in class and then tell me to engage more. Yeah. So uh, yeah, I would say like part of the part of the classes will be like the cultural things, but yeah, but majority will be like myself,
Gotcha,
because
gotcha.
you can tell like in the state, if you ever like engage with some of the um, Penn State kid, like international kid, you will see like some Asians will like more likely to engage in the class. They got like ideas and stuff to want to share with the class. And yeah, I saw like, kid in communication class,
Mhm,
speak up all the time, raising hand. Yeah.
mhm. So it's more personal, personal choice. A-
Yeah, will be
or
like
personal
personal.
idea, or a personal personality, rather.
Yeah,
Personality. Yes.
yeah,
You mentioned something interesting. You talked about once teachers started to engage you in classes, and often
yeah,
give you opportunities to participate. My research, what I'm trying to help is making the English classroom, especially in East Asia, more interactive, because this is something that I think that was missing from the classroom. I think that it was so much focused on strict grammar, strict translation, that I think that the opportunities to be creative, the opportunities to participate, the opportunities to engage in the classroom were missing, which is why I had so many children who I thought didn't know what was going on, but it was just actually they had no chance to engage. Does that make sense?
yeah. When you say this, I remember some of the, like the good teachers. Uh, for you, like I would say like recommend like games,
Yes, yes.
and
Lots of
and then
yeah.
and then separate into different groups, and then yeah, and then some of the teacher will require like participation point,
Hmm.
and then
And
which require like a certain times of raising hand in a week, and
yeah,
my teacher will like count it down, and then if you
yeah,
pass the number, and then you get like full credit. If not, then you kind of get
gotcha.
an F on the category and stuff.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I did a lot of those points based kind of things when I was
yeah,
working there. I think that what I want to work towards is not making students feel like they have to get the points. Does that make
yeah,
sense? But I think that that is the difference. Now that I'm learning, that is the difference in definitely the education system in Taiwan, is that students are more driven by the grade, by the points.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's definitely, yes, I noticed that that is the push there. Everyone is driven by
yeah,
the grade. But I think that what I noticed with my students, my learners, they would be discouraged if they weren't getting the grades. But I wanted, and that's why I was asking about those categories you mentioned early: mainstream, advanced, intermediate, because I wanted them to know, even if you're not getting the grades, it doesn't mean you don't have an understanding of what's going on. And sometimes it's because the way that they are assessing, like the test or the assignments, don't give students a chance to be creative. So I'll give you a small example. I had a student who never spoke in class, never said anything. All the teachers always said, "Oh, their student's just dumb. He doesn't do anything," this kind of thing. Or I had a teacher that would always say, "Oh, sui bien, like just don't bother him, sui bien." And so I would never really engage him in class. But then one day I gave him a comic, and I asked him just to draw some things, draw a comic,
yeah,
tell me what you can do. And he drew an entire sketch of The Simpsons, of the
mm,
Simpsons show. Yeah. And so like with word bubbles and everything in English. And so I realized it was just because he hadn't had opportunities to be creative. He's not the type of student who can do the test. He's not the type of student who's going to raise their hand. But if you give him an opportunity to show his creativity in this language, he can do it. So that's the kind of ideas I'm trying to think about in terms of my research. So what I'm asking from you and understanding from you is, do you think something like that is beneficial to you, or it would be beneficial in an English classroom in Taiwan? What do you think about an idea like that as a native speaker from that country?
You mean the whole thing like that
Yeah,
you just
well, okay, so I'll jump back to our questions. I'm going to skip the do you speak other languages? I'll go back to that one. But this is jumping down to like critical thinking. What is critical thinking? What is creativity? So instead of answering specifically what is critical thinking, I will shift the question a bit. Is, do you think that has a place in the English classroom in Taiwan?